Questions, as I said, from our audience. Siobhan Feely is right beside me. Siobhan, what's your question and for who?
Yeah, it's for the whole panel.
Okay.
What do they think it says about the country that just after 8 months after we ejected Fianna Fáil from office, an ex-Fianna Fáil businessman now looks set to be our next president?
All right, well, Sean Gallagher, we've got to go to you on that. You're an ex-Fianna Fáil person, you're a businessman, and so soon after the disappointment with Fianna Fáil was expressed by the electorate, it looks like, if you believe the polls, that you'll be there or thereabouts on Thursday.
Well, there's a lot to happen between now and Thursday, and we need to continue to get that message out there. I'm not at all complacent. But if I break the question down into two, first being a former member of Fianna Fáil and secondly being a business person, I've stated that I've never been afraid to admit and my background in Fianna Fáil, nor should I be. I was a grassroots member of a political party. I've never been a politician. This is my first time to stand for election, and I wouldn't like to think that we would demonise grassroots members of any political party. On the second issue, as a business person, I think, you know, there is no greater public service that we could do now than the small business people, 250,000 businesses around the country who create the very jobs that we want to create in order to keep our people at home and to give people employment and dignity and to provide the tax base to pay for schools, hospitals,
the question was, 8 months after we dumped Fianna Fáil out, here we have an ex-Fianna Fáil. I think you're still a businessman. I'm not entirely sure how you describe yourself today. No, I'm not being facetious, by the way.
Well, let me clarify it then for you, Pat. I stepped back once I announced my candidacy for the election. I stepped back in June and July from all my business interests so that I could apply myself fully to this election race, and if honoured to be elected to represent Ireland as a full-time role.
Okay, Michael D. Higgins.
Well, I think it's very important that the presidency be one that is a presidency of transformation. I think that it's very important that people look at the economy. There are many good things in the Celtic Charter, but it was mismanaged and dreadfully misdirected and put in a speculative direction. And I understand the fear that is there of people now with negative equity, mortgage difficulties.
But can I ask you to address the question, which is, yes, what does it say about the country, this is your question, that 8 months on, the man topping the polls at the moment is an ex-Fianna Fáil businessman? I'm not being judgmental, I'm repeating the question.
Well, I have a very straight answer to that. I don't believe he will be the next president because I think that the public are rallying, if you like, to a real independent mind, and that is myself. All the evidence over the weekend.
David Norris, you wanted to say something on that question?
Yes, well, I mean, first of all, I don't want to demonise anybody. I've always spoken against labelling. I wouldn't label all Fianna Fáil people as rotten. I mean, I've worked with them. There are some very decent people in them as well. But I would have to say this, that I thought Sean had a bit of a neck this morning in the earlier broadcast where he identified with plasterers and plumbers, because in 2007 his business brought in 7 million. It's a rather large number for plasterers and plumbers. I mean, there are not many plasterers and plumbers. And then in 2008, he and his business partner, Mr. Roddy, gave themselves 860,000 euros from the company. So
that's not correct, David.
Well, I'm sorry. Well, I'm just relying on what has been widely said. Well, whatever the figure was, it's certainly a lot more than any plasterer and plumber that I've ever come across. And